Hello everyone, this is Jill Delaney coming to you from Delaney Stables Live. Today we'll be talking again about the Sport of TREC with a general introduction to the obstacle phase. Big thank you to the many photographers in China that let us use these photos to develop the Sport of TREC in the USA and around the world. As a brief overview, the Sport of TREC is a three-phase competition with the cornerstone phase being orienteering. Orienteering is when you partner with your horse to go across the country on a pre-planned route using your topographic map, your compass, and your watch. The two supporting phases are control of paces, seen in the upper right-hand side, which has two sections and is about developing clear communication with your horse so that you can predict the pace you will take across the country. And the phase we were talking about today is the obstacle phase. And obstacles consist of anything that you might encounter while you're going across the country orienteering with your horse. The scoring of this type of competition shows the cornerstone phase earning the most points at 240. The control of paces with its two sections where you can earn up to 30 points each. In the obstacle phase, where there will be 16 obstacles, each of which you can score 0 to 10 points at, for a total of 160 points in this phase. All right, so on to the general information. The national organization is US NETO, and the website for TREC is www.trec-usa.org. The international governing organization is FIDE, and their website can be found at www.fide-net.org. FIDE is over in France, and much of the translation comes through in not quite the same English that we're used to speaking, but they call the obstacle phase the PTV phase at the international level. And their description is the circuit from 1.5 to 5 kilometers is to be performed in an ideal time, which means a maximum of 12 kilometers per hour. It presents a range of natural or simulated difficulties: gate, tree trunk, ditch, footbridge, hedge, water crossing, e-mobility, step up, etc. Judges grade the efficiency and the style or chosen pace by the competitors and the potentials penalties. This phase that occurs the day after the POR in international competitions enables to evaluate the horse's ability to recover after the sustained effort. That might or might not be true at the national levels, which we are talking about today. So at the national level, there'll be 16 obstacles out of the 36 option that the organizer has to choose from. The scoring will be 0 to 10 points per obstacle. The distance for the course will be between 1 and 5 kilometers at the national level, and the time will be set according to the obstacles, terrain, and the level of competition. So general information for the obstacle phase. Really what this is a timed exercise that has a planned route disclosed to the competitor before the start of the phase. In the disclosure of information, the distance, optimum time, and time allowed will be clearly stated and posted at the beginning of the phase. There will be a course map with the obstacles' numbers, names, and descriptions. For example, it might read, number 12, staircase up, ridden. The speed of the course will average between 9 and 12 kilometers per hour, depending on the obstacles used by the organizer. And each type of obstacle will be used only once throughout the competition course. The riders are allowed to walk the course without their mount at permitted times. Having your horse on any phase course, so orienteering, control of paces, or obstacles, prior to the competition time will result in elimination from the competition. At level 4, for the obstacle phase, a body protector vest is mandatory. And the order of go is the same for all 3 phases. So the level of competitions are the lower levels are 1 and 2, and these courses are shorter with speeds that are less demanding. They're more appropriate for beginners, green or inexperienced horses, and more casual riders. At levels 3 and 4, the upper levels, the phases become more challenging in distances and speeds, and greater skills and fitness levels are required of both the rider and the horse to compete successfully. The obstacle phase at the national levels looks like this. Level 1, the course design is inviting with easy distances and routes. They allow plenty of time, and if there are jumping efforts, the jumping efforts will not be over 2 feet in height. At level 2, the course design gets slightly more challenging, can be considered moderate. The time allowed is still quite reasonable, and your jumping effort will not be over 2 feet 6 inches. At level 3, the course design becomes more challenging, combining obstacles with tighter routes, and the time allowed becomes a consideration. Your maximum jumping height will be 3 feet. And at level 4, the course design will be most difficult, with challenging combinations and routes. The time allowed is a factor, and your maximum jumping effort could be up to 3 feet 6 inches. And this is the level that a body protector vest is mandatory in the States. The competitor's outfit is free choice but needs to be appropriate. For the obstacle phase, the rider's shoulders must be covered, and tall riding boots or boots with half chaps are required. The organizer or ground jury may decide to not let a competitor start if they are wearing inappropriate clothing or ill-suited equipment. Wearing an approved safety helmet is mandatory when mounted while on event grounds. The protective vest is mandatory at level 4. And all competitors must wear the number vest provided by the organizer. Some organizers might also require bridle numbers. The tack and equipment for the horse is the same for all 3 phases, in that a saddle is mandatory, but can be any style. English, Western, endurance, doesn't matter, as long as you are wearing a saddle and not a bareback pad, as they are not permitted. The headgear for the horse is also mandatory, but it can be a bridle, head collar, hackamore, with or without a bit. The only other training aid permitted is the running martingale. So, for example, standing martingales or draw reins are not allowed. And in this phase, a crop of not more than 30 centimeters may be carried. The course itself will have start and finish lines clearly marked with a red flag on the right and a white flag on the left. The obstacles will also be flagged and numbered. They must be taken in numerical order. The horse and rider must both pass completely through the flags at the beginning and the end of an obstacle. Between the obstacles, you may move at your choice of gait, except where noted by the organizer. If you circle between an obstacle, the judge at the upcoming obstacle will mark you down with an effectiveness fault, so you are expected to go from one obstacle to the next. For every 4 seconds over the optimum time, a 1-point penalty will be earned for up to 30 points. In any obstacle, this is one of the cool things about this sport, any obstacle may be bypassed without elimination from the phase or the competition, as long as you stop and get permission from the obstacle judge. If you do not ask correctly to pass the obstacle, your score will be 0 for the obstacle phase because it will be assumed that you went off course. A course map will look like this. Again, this is from our friends in China. So the name of the competition was China Horsetown Trek International Competition. It was a map of the PTV phase, which is the international lingo for obstacles. The length of the course was 1,020 meters, and the ideal time, optimum time, was 9 minutes with a maximum time of 18 minutes. And then it goes through. After you pass through the start flags, the first obstacle is the low branches, and that is a ridden obstacle. The second obstacle is a footbridge, which is also ridden, onto a ridden corridor, ridden log, ridden rainback, ridden hedge, and ridden S-bend. Number 8, you had to dismount for and do an incline up in hand, to remount and do an incline up ridden. Number 10 was immobility ridden. 11 was incline down in hand, so you needed to dismount and then go over to the corridor, which was also in hand. Number 13 was mounting from the offside. Number 14 was the slalom or the weave. Number 15 was a one-handed figure 8. And number 16 was a gate ridden. Then you had to pass through the finish flags. Types of obstacles for a trek competition can be broken down many ways. The way I find it best for me to think about them is that there are gate obstacles, style obstacles, and timed obstacles. Any of these obstacles may be done in hand. A gate obstacle rewards faster, consistent speeds. Breaks in the gate while performing the obstacle are scored according to the slowest gate performed, so you do not earn back points for getting back into the original gate. Style obstacles reward horse and rider teams that execute ideal performances, and then they can be further divided into jumping, slope, or precision. Timed obstacles reward proper execution within a stated time frame. And in-hand obstacles can be a gate, a style, or a timed obstacle. But in order to accumulate the most points in these obstacles, the horse must remain behind the handler on a loose rein. And that looks like this. That concludes a general introduction to the obstacle phase of the Sport of TREC today with Delaney Stables Live. If you have any questions or would like to be in touch with me, you may do it at delaneystables@gmail.com, or you can check out our website at delaneystables.com. Again, big shout out to those Chinese photographers for letting us use all these beautiful photos. Have a great day.